Stress, pain, time, energy. We are all subject to stress, pain, time, and energy. Put all those things together, and you have life management, and that is the subject of this podcast. Welcome to the All That Chazz Stress Relief Podcast. I'm your host, Robert Chute, fiction author and nonfiction author of Do the Thing, a book about how to manage those aspects of your life that are holding you back and holding me back, and we'll work on it together. Today I'm talking about temporal milestones to keep your resolutions. Yes, those New Year's resolutions. If you haven't forgotten them already, you soon will, so let's get those back on track. I also have a new, not a new podcast recommendation, but another podcast recommendation for you that is packed with information from Dr. Rhonda Patrick. Fantastic stuff. And I also have a word about consistency. Yeah, consistency. That's the ticket. So let's dive right in, and I'll just let you know that you can pick up my book, Do the Thing. You can find the links for the ebook and paperback in the show notes at allthatchazz.com. And let's get on with the show and straight to it. First up, temporal milestones. It happens every year that with a New Year's resolution, we tend to put a lot of pressure on ourselves on January 1st. And we get to the gym, and the gym is filled up. And by the end of January, the gym is not nearly as filled up. The whole fitness industry with gyms, they depend on an 80% drop-off. When they sign people up, they don't expect that 80% of the people will actually be in on a regular basis. If all the people who signed up did actually go to the gym, there wouldn't be room to move in the gym. So with temporal milestones, it's not just New Year's. We also tend to put a lot of pressure on Mondays. I can't start a diet until Monday. I can't do that thing until, my birthday. It'll be my birthday, so then I'll get back on track. And I think what we really need to do is change the mindset there, in that all you have is today. All you have is now. And focusing on process a little bit more. I'll talk about that in a second. But the main thing is to keep your New Year's resolution, or any resolution, you need to renew it every day. Years have 365 days, and we really need to reaffirm that commitment. Sometimes it takes more than just every day. Sometimes it's 3 times a day, say around mealtime. I'm focusing on weight loss because that's one of my goals is to bring my weight down. And it's working so far, and I'll tell you why soon. But the first thing, before all the other tricks and tips, is to reaffirm that you are committed to the resolution that you chose. You are committed to a plan that you made. And it really is crucial to take it sometimes even minute by minute. If you try to quit smoking, it's going to be many times a day, and there'll be social cues, there'll be habitual cues that will crop up, like after a good meal, having a coffee with a cigarette. There's all sorts of cues that will test your resolution. And a resolution can be taken 2 ways. It can be, I resolve to do this, and it can also mean clarity. And you have to have both to make that commitment happen. You have to follow through on a plan. Often you have to displace the habit you don't want with another habit that you prefer. So, for instance, I'm not a huge fan of salads, but they're much better than a lot of bad food that I could eat. And my solution is often to have a green smoothie. So it displaces a lot of calories, and I'm basically drinking my salad. But I use a NutriBullet, and so I get all the fiber. I don't juice anymore. I take all the fiber as well. But I've found that behavior is very useful in displacing calories, making something that I don't find particularly pleasant much more pleasant. So that's one way to go about it. The other thing that has been very useful for me is to find an accountability partner. So I have a friend who's also trying to lose weight, and every day in Instant Messenger generally, sometimes we talk on the phone, but usually we just report to each other, what am I eating, what am I doing, what's my intake, what is my output, what am I having for dinner, what am I planning to have for dinner, and what is my activity. And so far that's working great. So more on that in another podcast. But don't get too hooked up on the big temporal milestones like New Year's resolutions, or I can't start till Monday, or I have to wait till my birthday, or I'm gonna really get serious about doing this sometime off in the future, because we're very much more we think our future selves are much better than we are right now, and the thing is, all we have is now. So I think I've pounded that into the ground enough. But the other thing I do want to mention that goes well with this is consistency. Every day I tell a patient of mine, consistency is much more important than enthusiasm. So you know how you don't floss and then you have a dental appointment coming up. So the dental appointment is on Monday morning, and so Sunday afternoon you spend Sunday afternoon flossing. And then you arrive with bloody gums on Monday morning, and they say, "Are you flossing?" And you lie and say, "Yes." And they say, "No, you're not, because I just looked at you and your gums began to bleed." So it's much better to work at your goals consistently and focus on process. This is one of the things I found very useful with weight loss is my friend was weighing himself every day and getting discouraged because he was looking for movement every day. And even with just fluid fluctuations, you can change quite a bit, as much as 8 pounds or so, depending on how much water you're drinking, and normal fluctuations throughout the day, depending on how much you've just eaten. It doesn't make sense to weigh yourself too much while you are trying to lose weight. You want to, I just do it weekly. And sometimes there are studies that show that if you want to keep weight off, it's better to weigh yourself more often. I would suggest that it's good to get some weight off before you start measuring yourself daily. You don't want to fall into a spiral where you're just gaining weight, of course, but fluctuations, it shouldn't be that much within 1 week. So everybody, I think, needs to calm down on that. But my friend was getting discouraged because he was checking too often. And my suggestion is to consistently measure, because that which is not measured is not changed, is not managed. So do weigh yourself if this is your goal of weight loss, but just do it once a week, especially if you find it is discouraging you, because you don't want to sap energy from your momentum. And that was my advice to him. The other thing to keep in mind is it's much more about process of what you're doing today, as opposed to waiting for that temporal milestone of the big weigh-in where the scale is your enemy and, how much have you lost this week, sort of thing. What are you doing today? Measure what you can do today. So how much time can you spend exercising? How many calories did you eat? Were they good calories? There's all kinds of things you can measure. You don't have to focus on those things that will rob you of your energy. So there's that. So the other thing that I wanted to mention today is it's kind of funny because I did a big list on, I have a blog called Chazz Writes. It's Chazz with 2 Z's, 2 Z's if you're nasty. So on Chazz Writes, I did this little blog about, things you didn't know about me, kind of thing. And one of the things was, one of the topics was what podcasts do I not enjoy as much as I used to? And my answer, unfortunately, was the Joe Rogan Experience. And then recently I was listening to more of the Joe Rogan Experience, and I guess what it comes down to is when he talks about politics with the guest, I'm kind of turned off, but when he talks about health, I'm really interested and energized. And he had a couple really great guests on recently. If you're looking for a podcast that will energize you and make you feel like you want to do more with your life, I'd listen to the interview between Joe Rogan and Henry Rollins. I like Henry Rollins quite a lot. He's done some really great work with as a monologist, actually. On a previous podcast, I talked about Spalding Gray, and I guess Henry Rollins is the new Spalding Gray. And it's just how Henry looks at his life, and it's been a very fascinating life, and he's making it a really fascinating life, and he's got so much boundless energy. It's really intoxicating and hopefully contagious. And the other guest whom I always love on the Joe Rogan Experience is Dr. Rhonda Patrick. So definitely check out Dr. Rhonda Patrick's. She's a nutritional scientist. Check out her interview with Joe Rogan on the Joe Rogan Experience because she's so full of great information. In the last episode she was in, there was a brief foray talking about surfing and sharks, but then they went into the magic of broccoli sprouts. And when I say magic, I don't mean magic. I mean the science behind the nutrition that you get from broccoli sprouts. And I got really excited about the idea of maybe I got to go grow my own broccoli sprouts. So there's a lot in there. She always has an interview where you need to read it with a notebook beside you to take down what you want to remember or listen to it again and again. So all of her episodes, I think she's been on the Joe Rogan Experience 6 times, and it's a fantastic interview if you're interested at all in nutritional science or losing weight or optimizing your health or super aging. Super aging, when I first heard that term, I thought it sounded like a negative thing. Like if somebody is a super ager, it sounds like they're aging really fast. But super aging actually refers to people who are active and sharp well into their late elderly years, where they maintain their health throughout their life, or have a long life and are very independent and effective in late life. And when you're thinking about exercise and nutrition, that's really the big game, is adding energy to your years, however long those years may be. You may not extend your life with exercise, but if you can get into your senior years and not have to worry about transferring out of a wheelchair, if you can go up and down stairs without your knees killing you, if you can live independently and with clarity, your mind is still sharp, your body still works fairly well even. These are all the signs, or the signposts that you have treated your body well and taken care of your meat wagon. And we all need to take care of our meat wagons. And as I get older, I'm very much aware that I live in a house with a lot of stairs, and I need to keep my body in shape so my knees won't kill me when I try to go upstairs. It's an issue for everybody. And I know with the health and fitness industry, it's so much about abs and looking good and all that. And those things are all wonderful too. Everybody wants to have a nice long neck and, symmetry and proportion. And, we could all look like Greek statues if we worked hard at it. Pretty much. But that's the short game. There's a much longer game that is really much more important. It'll affect your ability to live happily, live well, to earn income, to find a mate, to keep a mate, to live a full and rich life. All these things are affected by the choices we make now. And I think most important is if we're in better shape, we're in a much better position to help those who need our help, who perhaps aren't in as good a shape. There's so much that we can do for each other if we are working at a higher capacity. And being able to move weight is one of the most essential ways that we can measure our capacity, whether it be our weight or whether it be iron. As Henry Rollins says when he talks about aging and exercise, is the iron does not lie. The iron does not lie. Meaning, if you can't move a weight from here to there, you can't do it, because there's that's measurement, and it's so important that we get excited about taking care of ourselves. And I find that the more I take care of myself, the more excited I get about it. The difficult part is starting, but once you start, it gets so much easier. It does get better. And you will get better. And with that, I'm going to close this podcast for today. I like to keep it tight and pithy. If you would like more, go to... my daughter just walked to the room. Hi, daughter. She waved. If you want more information, tools, tricks to life management, managing your stress, your pain, and energy, and time, go to allthatchazz.com. You'll find a link to the stores for the UK, for America, and for Canada, and pick up Do the Thing, my book about all those life management skills. Thanks for listening, and see you next week on the All That Chazz Stress Relief podcast.